said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace. Your suffering is over." So that was Mark chapter 5. And we read Luke and we read Matthew. And you see how they all have different stories. But here's the thing that I want you all to know. The fact of the matter is there's a reoccurring theme here in each one of the different testaments. What you can see in Luke chapter 8, Mark chapter 5, and Matthew chapter 9 is that this woman was persistent. This woman was isolated. This woman was quarantined. This woman was out of the way. She was not in the space where everyone else was interacting. She was not amongst the crowd. She was not in the number. She was away. She was out of sight, out of mind. She could not be amongst the people during the Jewish times. If you were considered unclean, you could not be in the presence of anyone. So you had to be away from everyone. If you had an issue of blood, you were considered unclean, dirty, and filthy, and nobody wanted to be associated with you. So this woman in particular had no choice but to be in a room, a house, a box, in isolation for 12 long years by herself. And at that point, in the 12th year, this woman got desperate. This woman was sick and tired of being sick and tired. This woman was frustrated. This woman was fed up. This woman said, "Enough is enough. I have suffered for way too long. I've put up with this for way too long. I've spent all that I've had. I've gone from doctor to doctor to doctor, wishing and hoping for healing, and nobody could give it to me. I've paid all of the money that I have. I've exhausted all of my resources. Enough is enough." Oh, my sisters, on tonight, what do you do when enough is enough? What do you do when you've exhausted all possible resources, when nothing else is working out, when you're down to the very last option? What do you do when you've been trying, when you've been pressing, when you've been praying, when you've been fasting, hoping and wishing? What do you do when you get to the point where you say, "Enough is enough. I can't do this anymore. I can't live like this anymore"? You get desperate. And the woman with the issue of blood was just that. She was, in fact, desperate. She was desperate for healing. She was desperate for transformation. She was desperate for a breakthrough. I don't know if I have any sisters in the room on tonight that is desperate. Sis, you're desperate for change. You're desperate for healing. You're desperate from deliverance. You've had enough of the toxicity, enough of the negativity, enough of the repeated cycles of brokenness, enough of the same outcome, enough. We're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And on tonight, we're going to have some audacity to say, "I'm coming out of this situation. I'm coming out of what no longer serves me, what has had me deprived, what has had me stressed and broken, what has robbed me of my peace." And so on tonight, as we get into the women in this series entitled "Who Does She Think She Is?", we're gonna first start with the woman with the issue of blood. Because sis, when you think about it, who does she think she is? This woman is audacious. You've got the nerve to have your ear to be pressed out to see what is happening. That means she was attentive. Come on, Holy Spirit. That means she was aware, right? That means she wasn't just hidden. She was seeking. She was pressing, honey. She was desperate to figure out who was in town. Okay, so I know in the Jewish cultures and traditions that I'm not supposed to come outside because I'm considered unclean. However, Jesus is in town. And that lets me know she had an awareness of who Jesus was. She knew something about someone who could do something for her situation. Come on, somebody. She knew that Jesus wasn't going to be there very long. He was really just passing through. And to be honest, he wasn't even coming to see about her. He was on his way to go perform a miracle for somebody else. But she said to herself, if I could just maybe, just touch. If I could just touch his garment, maybe I can just. She had She had this very hopeful type of faith. If I could just touch him, if I could just get to him, then I could be healed. Somebody's got to be hopeful enough to know that if I could just get in the presence of God, then I can hear from him. If I can get in proximity to him, then I can get delivered. If I could just get close enough to receive a word, an impartation, a revelation, if I could just get near, I can get what I need. If you get near, you'll get what you need. Come on, Holy Spirit. If you get near, you will get what you need. Somebody needs to get near the presence of God. Somebody needs to get in the presence of God. If you get near him, you will get exactly what you need. And so the woman with the issue of blood, baby, she was audacious enough to believe that if she could just get near him, she could get everything that she needed from him.